Hey everyone. I chose to do the Greek story of the creation. So I drew some pictures and I'm going to walk us through that today. So to start us off, we have chaos. Chaos is, well, like it sounds like the name. It's just chaotic. It's dark abyss, nothingness. I kind of like to think about it as like if you've learned of entropy in any of your biology classes. It's just randomness or disorganization. It's just complete chaos and disaster. But the first to come out of this black hole essentially was Gaia. Now, these are kind of going to be the first gods in existence. They're kind of called the primordial gods that I'm going to talk about. And I kind of drew them as like Earth. This one I gave it a little bit more of like a body form because I drew it as a heart at first because it's the god. He's the god of love, Eros. But then I found out he was a dude, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't feel right. So, anyway, so this one's more Gaia. She was the first god to come out of the abyss, essentially, or chaos. Tartarus also came. So Gaia's like Earth, right? And then Tartarus is almost essentially like hell, but he ruled below Earth, and that's where all the worst criminals, worst violence, people who committed crimes against the gods or even gods, just the worst of the worst went to Tartarus. And then, like I said, we have Eros, which is the god of love. So each of these were kind of being created and coming out of the abyss. Then you also had Nyx, the god of night, and Erolos, and that is the goddess of darkness and shadows. And then these two went on to create many more gods. We're not going to get super much into them. We're going to talk about some other stuff that happened briefly after the creation. But basically, day, light, sleep, fates, old age, death, those gods were created from them. So Gaia, she by herself was able to procreate. So she procreated and created the god of the sky, Uranus, the god of mountains, Orus, and then the god of the oceans, Pontus. And so those gods, Uranus, which is, I know it's weird because that's her son, but they had offspring. They had kids, which was the Titans. And there's 12 Titans, but the ones we're going to be talking about today are Cronus and Rhea. So they had those 12 kids, but Uranus was worried by their strength. And so he trapped them in Gaia, the earth, and she did not like that and was upset by it. And so she planned with her youngest child, or the one who was most willing, Cronus, to take down Uranus and to overthrow him. And so they did. It's kind of very, what's the word? I'm kind of giving you a very PG or maybe even a G version of this. So I'm just going to say that they took him down and overthrew him. And then Cronus ruled for quite a time. And then he fell in love with Rhea, and they started having kids. But Cronus is worried by this because he knows of this prophecy. That's the word. He knows of a prophecy that his kid or one of his kids are going to overthrow him. And so his plan was to eat his children, which is really messed up, but that was his plan, was to eat his children so that he couldn't be overthrown. And so he started doing this. I think he ate 5 children. And so then there was one child left, and Rhea was like, no, this is messed up. I don't want this. And so she tricks Cronus, and she gives him a rock to eat. So he eats a rock instead of his son, and I guess didn't notice the difference. But then that child that was kind of set aside and wasn't killed was Zeus. And Zeus comes years and years later, and he actually comes and he takes down Cronus, and he gets his siblings back. And that's not the end of the story. There's still a lot more, but then we're getting kind of out of the creation and we're getting into just more mythology, Greek mythology, because then now continues a 10-year war, which was called I can't even pronounce it, but the Titanomachy. it's a 10-year war that would follow from Zeus saving his siblings. But that's the overall story of the creation. Once again, these are the primordial gods that came in from the chaos. And then these are more of like the Olympic gods that we like learn of in movies and things like that, like Hercules. But yeah, this is the story. It's super cool. I was really intrigued by it. There's some cool videos. You can just look up history. You can just read up some books. But there's some really cool more information, way more in depth. But yeah, it was a really cool story.